Un momento. Just bear with me. Yep. Yep. Okay. Alright. Okay. And don't need that open. Come on. Oh my god, you stupid phone. I hate this phone. I hate all phones. Their keyboards suck. Alright. And there we go. Alright. Hello, AKL Max or Aki Max. I'll just call you Max. How's it going, Max? Yes, that is a fake tree. As fake can be. Yes. I've had that one for a number of years. I intended to replace it this year, but there's been too many things taking up my money for me to be able to buy a new tree. So next year, though, instead of that one, it'll be a nice, bright, crisp, white tree. With either all blue or all red stuff on it. Hi, Blaze the Cat Man. How's it going? We'll be getting going here in a few minutes. We're just giving everybody a chance to get in. Just giving everybody a chance. Oh, it's been a while. It's been a while. And I will explain why it's been a while shortly. As soon as I can. And that apparently doesn't actually do anything. From Max, still riding high off this Astrobot. So many people were seething about it winning Game of the Year. What did I tell y'all was going to happen? I told y'all a long time ago that it was, going to be nominated and would very likely be the winner because of what else was out at the time for this year. Who cares about that? Okay, well now I want it. There, okay. It's been a year, guys. It's been a year. I mean, I've been so exhausted. I haven't even been, shaving my head. My hair is starting to grow back in, which I didn't want. I was done with the long hair thing, but tomorrow I'm going to have to do it because it's starting to get shaggy. I've got like a mullet in training back here. I need to do something about it. I am just all sorts of stuff wrong with me due to stress and chemical balances and things. Skin is drying out all over me. So, it feels like a sunburn even though it's not a sunburn. And my back's awful. Ankles are awful. Knees are awful. I had an IBS flare up a couple of days ago. I was in agony for 3 or 4 days. It's been a rough one, guys. It's been a rough one. And there have been days since the last time that I streamed where I just couldn't bring myself to get out of my chair. I just said, aside from going to the bathroom and fixing myself something to eat, I couldn't do it. I mean, I'll go more into details here in a minute, but my eyes, the form of astigmatism they have that makes me have to wear these all the time. It's been flaring up. I've been seeing auras like I'm going to have a migraine. But then instead of a migraine, I get these little jagged multicolored lines that appear in my vision. And I'm told that's where you get dehydrated, and what you're seeing is like the beginnings of a potential corneal tear. And so, I'll go rush when I see those, and I'll down a bottle, 1 or 2 bottles of water, and it goes away. But I don't understand how I'm getting dehydrated like that, because I drink water all day long. And I have to assume that it's the diabetic medication that I'm on, because the way that stuff works is it grabs sugar when you eat, and instead of it going to your liver and getting turned into glucose or whatever and sent into your bloodstream, it's sent to your kidneys instead, and you pee it out. And so the more sugar that the medicine is getting out of your system, the more you have to pee. And I have to pee multiple times a day. Several times a day. And we're not talking about little psst, like if you have prostate problems. I have no problems there. We're talking like full power stream for like 20 to 30 seconds of just nonstop pee. Several times a day. Weight should be falling off of me with all the fluid that is being ejected out of me, but it's not. That I don't understand either. Anyway, we got another 3 minutes, and we will get started here. On top of that, I have an impacted wisdom tooth that I haven't gotten removed because the last time that I was put under with anesthetic, I had an apnea event, quote unquote, and they had to stick a air tube down my throat. This was years ago when I had my tonsils out. I was still living in North Carolina then. So they're afraid to put me under to pull the tooth out. So every couple of months, it'll start to try to come out again, and that causes a big pain flare up through my eye, and I get a migraine. Or not a migraine, but a different kind of headache, like right behind my eyeball. So I have all sorts of wonderful conditions that I'm having to deal with. Fun. Growing old sucks, y'all. It sucks. It's not fun. I'll talk about the Naughty Dog thing once the show actually starts, which it's going to start in a minute here. And but I will go ahead and say I never pay attention to Half-Life 3 rumors. I've been hearing Half-Life 3 rumors since at least 2008. I don't pay attention to that crap. That's like the the remake of Legend of Dragoon. That's just it's going to be announced any day now. Yes, indeed. I tell you what, man. I tell you what. Oh, just 13, huh? As long as I've been gone, I'd expected more people to show up, but I guess everybody forgot about me. That's all right. Anyway, it's 6 o'clock. It is Saturday, December 14th. 2024, and this is the 7thCast. Greetings and salutations. As always, I am your venerable 50-year-old host, your friendly neighborhood old geezer 7th. 8th is hanging out upstairs. He is a little bit sick, got a bit of a cold. He'd been sneezing and coughing all day. 'Tis the season, I guess. Anyway, like I say, I was 34 going on 35 when I started YouTube. And now I'm 50. 50 years old. Aside from the gray in my beard, I don't feel that I look 50, but I certainly feel 50. Oh God. Everything I have that can hurt, hurts. All the time. And of course, it's just me and 8th, right? It's just me and 8th. And 8th has not settled in on a job since we moved here because he's been helping out with getting everything arranged and whatnot. And of course, now here it is, Christmas, and nobody's really hiring except for like Christmas seasonal stuff, which he doesn't want. So he's waiting until after the 1st to start putting his resume in at places. So, you know, what that translates to is that I don't get birthday or Christmas presents. I don't get nothing unless I buy it for myself. And I don't have a whole lot of money after buying 8th his Christmas stuff and for his birthday next month. I'm pretty tapped because of everything that's gone on. I had to move into this new house. Not long after I moved into the house, I had to replace the refrigerator. Then I had to have the air conditioner repaired. Then my water heater blew up and I had to put in a new water heater. That was another $2,800, even though water heaters themselves only cost $500. They charge you that much in labor to install one. Yeah. And so it's just been one thing after the next after the next. Thankfully, there hasn't been anything else go wrong since the water heater, aside from health problems. But all of 8th's Christmas and stuff is taken care of, including the big one, which was 8th still doesn't have his driver's license because my job has consistently gotten busier and busier and busier for me to the point where I haven't been free to take him out and teach him myself. And so, finally, I have paid as part of his Christmas for him to take a driver's course that's going to take him through the written and passing the driver's test. That will expand his horizons as far as the jobs he can apply for because he won't be relying on me to drive him there and coming to pick him up. He already has his own car. He just doesn't have a license for it. He only has a learner's permit. So anytime he wants to drive it, I have to be in the car with him. Oh, man. So, anyone who wants to get old 50-year-old 7th a little something something for Christmas, it's, the link's right up there. The link's right up there. I will say, you'll notice in the background there, a whole, the Blu-ray / 4K Blu-ray section has gotten just a little bit bigger. And that is because with things going the way they have we've decided to step back from buying movies on Amazon Prime digitally, and we've gone back to purchasing physical discs. Even though a couple of the big manufacturers of 4K Blu-ray players have announced that they're ceasing production this year, still we're going to buy up physical movies as long as we can still get them without having to pay ridiculous eBay prices for them. The most recent one that I picked up, because a lot of movies still don't have a 4K edition, and some of them probably never will because of their lack of popularity. Case in point, The Phantom, starring Billy Zane. Cheesy as hell movie, but fun in a kind of a Batman meets Indiana Jones sort of way. I enjoy it. And it's not in 4K. It's only available on regular old Blu-ray for $10. So I bought it because it was $10. I'm a big fan of $10 Blu-rays that don't have a 4K release. Because let me tell you something, okay? With new movies, 4K can look astounding. With old-ass movies that were filmed on 35mm film that have film grain, they don't look any different than the Blu-ray. They don't. I bought the full from the negative remaster of the Beastmaster. It barely looks better than the DVD, much less the Blu-ray. And I've bought several others where, yeah, it looks nice, but I wouldn't be able to tell you what the difference is between the Blu-ray version that I had. They just don't look, most of them, not some of them do, but most of them, they just look like the Blu-ray to me. Especially with older movies. Now with newer movies, different story. Newer movies, you can watch it on the Blu-ray, watch it on the 4K, you can tell obvious difference. But old stuff like National Lampoon's Vacation, you're not going to see any difference between the two. It's just not there. Unless they're doing something like what Jim Cameron does with the AI-assisted super sampling or whatever that actually removes film grain. But I don't like that. Because when you remove the film grain, then the quality of it makes it look like it was recorded on a digital camera. So it gives it that kind of Asylum Films look. I don't know how else to describe it. So I don't like it when they digitally remove the film grain. But anyway, that's what we've been doing. And a lot of it, we've been focusing on little cheap movies that don't have a 4K but do have a Blu-ray, like The Phantom, The Shadow, stuff like that. I am very thirsty, guys. So, 50 years old, nothing for my birthday. Even my employer didn't do anything for my birthday. Used to, before I was made a work-from-home person, and all of us worked in the same office instead of being split up all over the country like we are now. When I had my birthday, they would order a cake, or they'd order a big old rack of gourmet cupcakes, and you'd sit and eat these cupcakes with your friends, and then after work, everybody would go out to the bar and they'd buy you drinks. That don't happen no more. They don't do nothing for you. They don't even send out an email saying, congratulations on your so-and-so, happy birthday, many happy returns. Nothing. So, no birthday cake, no nothing. For my big 5-0, my milestone half a century birthday. And it's just me and y'all, everybody. It wasn't today, it's already happened, but, is what it is. All right, so what's my... I don't really have any topics, guys. I don't really have any topics, so just, I'll answer questions, whatever you want. Whatever you want. Let's see here. Thoughts on Naughty Dog's new IP? Wasn't impressed. You know, it was borrowing heavily from scenes from Akira. There was bits of Cowboy Bebop in there, and I'm not feeling the whole manly woman protagonist thing. You know, I mean, Ellen Ripley was a badass, but she still maintained her femininity, and right up until that third one where they they chopped all her hair off. But even then, there was still a woman under all the grime. But that's not what's happening in this trailer. And I've had my fill of it at this point. I'm just kind of done with that type of protagonist. I don't want to see it or play it anymore. And honestly, what it feels like to me is that Neil Druckmann got so butthurt over people not liking The Last of Us 2 that he took Abby and Lev and combined them into one person. Because that's what it looks like. It certainly doesn't look like the actress that's portraying that character. If it looked like the actress portraying the character, I'd have no problem with it. But some of these developers have this weird fetish about taking an attractive woman and making her ugly as sin in their video game. I don't understand it. And Sony's not immune to this. Sony does it too. I don't get it. But, I'm done with the whole girl boss thing. They didn't have to do that with Ellen Ripley. They didn't have to do that with Murphy's partner in RoboCop. Her name just slipped my mind. I'm 50. They didn't have to do that with her. They didn't have to do it with Princess Leia. Honestly, with Princess Leia, they kind of leaned a little in the opposite direction with the bikini and everything. But God, I'm so thirsty. I've had my fill. I'm going to reserve full judgment until I've sat and played the game, obviously. But not off to a good start with me. Not so far. Thoughts on the Indiana Jones game? 8th has played it. I have not. 8th already beat it on Game Pass. I have not played it. It's been months since I even turned my Xbox on. Hi, Juggernuts. All the kids who said 7th was an old fart years ago are now old as... That's true. Were there any other first-person shooter games you didn't like besides Call of Duty? Oh, a lot of them. Too many to name. And it wasn't just military shooters. There was that one that came out on PS3 and 360. Legendary. Oh, Lord, that one was god-awful. My face looks swollen. I look like I'm swollen right here. I don't know what's going on there. Thoughts on Jim Carrey's How the Grinch Stole Christmas? I like that movie. I actually saw it in the theater when it came out. Thought it was funny. I mean, yes, there's a lot of cheesy moments in it, and yes, the makeup is moderately disturbing. But I still find it funny. Yeah, I can still watch it and enjoy it for what it is. I liked it better than the CGI one with Cumberbatch. I couldn't even stay awake for that one. The Snow White live-action trailer got destroyed and looks terrible. It does look terrible. I keep waiting for Disney to get the hint. Nobody wants these live-action remakes that they're doing. I mean, some of them make money, but the last several haven't done well. Well, I already drank all my tea and we're only 15 minutes into the show. I'm just really thirsty, guys. I don't know what's going on. I can't wait to see how the prequel for The Lion King does. Me and Eighth back there have no intention of going to see that one. He and I have talked about going to see Nosferatu the day after Christmas. Not going to go see it on Christmas Day, but we might go see it the day after Christmas. Let's see here. How long have I been 50? I've been 50 for a couple of days. I'm not going to give a specific date because y'all don't need to know what my actual birthday is. So, I've been 50 somewhere between the last time you saw me in October and today. I just answered that question, Samurai Beast Warrior. Are you not paying attention? I never liked Jim Carrey's Grinch. It bored me, but maybe I'll give it another shot one day. For me, it's 2 stars out of 4. Well, I like it. Nick Neal, I'm 28 today. Oh, congrats. I don't even remember what 28 feels like. I'm 33 since the previous week. Congrats. I don't remember what 33 feels like either. Hey, Tokes, how's it going? I've seen people say the Cat in the Hat movie is unwatchable. Oh, that one's absolutely terrible. That one's horrible. I've sat through it twice. And, yeah, it's not good. I mean, Jim Carrey in The Grinch is Citizen Kane compared to Cat in the Hat. That movie that's a cinematic abortion right there. It absolutely is as bad as people say, Nick. That was a mistake. That film should not have been made. I'm gonna have to go get him a cough drop. I'm gonna have to get him some chloroseptic or something. Jeez. Seventh, don't play Marvel Rivals. Oh, I wasn't planning on it, Toes. I wasn't planning on it. I've been playing Ease X Nordics. That's what I've been playing. I platted Dragon Age Veilguard. I got the plat on it. And then I started right in on Ease 10 Nordics. I don't know how much of it I have left to do. I'm several hours into it. Right now, my vacation started today, but because of staffing issues, even though I'm on vacation, I still have to remote in and do work. Yeah. So I don't even actually, I'm supposed to have 2 straight weeks off. They're not off. I'm working. I'm not working as much as I would if I was scheduled on a regular day shift, but I'm still having to put hours in. And, yeah, it kind of sucks, but, needs of the business, as they say. Oop. $20 from Ace of Horns. Thank you, Ace of Horns. I appreciate you. I really appreciate you. Didn't even have a question for me. Just happy birthday, Mr. Level. Thank you, Ace of Horns. Appreciate it. That'll go towards something, some Christmas present. I don't know. We'll see how things go by the end of the night. That'll determine what I get for myself with it. But I appreciate you. The only you know what? I forgot. I got to give you a $1 bill. Sorry, it's been so long since I've streamed. I'm out of practice. There you go. I have magic powers. Okay. The only reason why I say that is because I was only 3 years old when the Cat in the Hat movie came out. Well, that explains a lot. There's a lot of things that I thought were fantastic when I saw them as a kid, and I can't even sit through them now. Like most of the Rankin Bass Christmas specials. Charlie Brown Christmas, Charlie Brown Thanksgiving, Rankin Bass's animated The Hobbit, animated The Return of the King. I can't watch any of those. The only Rankin Bass things that I can still watch nowadays is Rudolph, Frosty, and Nestor the Long-Eared Christmas Donkey. Those are the only... and the movie they made, Flight of Dragons. I like Flight of Dragons. That's it. Thoughts on the Game Awards. I think it's the best one they've done so far. I think it's the best one that they've done so far. I mean, it's still video game commercials with an occasional award tossed in, but, you know, if that's how they have to get it made, so be it. It wasn't as bad as last year by any stretch of the imagination. Jesus. 7th, have you seen the movie Terrifier? I've seen the first 2. I haven't seen the third one yet, the Christmas one. Haven't seen it yet. It's too expensive to buy it digitally, and they don't have it out on like 4K or anything as of yet. So, you know, I'm waiting for it to hit Shudder for free, and then I'll be able to watch it on Shudder. Hopefully that'll happen before Christmas Day. I love the Terrifier movies. I think they're hilarious. How do you feel about the Master of Disguise movie? It was not a good movie. Did not like that one either. The only movies that Dana Carvey have been in that I liked was Wayne's World, Wayne's World 2, and Little Nicky. He played the demon-possessed referee at the Harlem Globetrotters game. Those are the only 3 things he's been in that I liked. I did not like any of the movies that were starring him. They were just not good. Yes, Ninja Gaiden Ragebound looked good. Looked fun. A Kami sequel, there was no gameplay. But I assume it'll be good because of who's involved. Onimusha, that made both me and 8th stand up in surprise. We were not expecting that one. Weren't expecting to see anything about the new Virtua Fighter yesterday either. There was a lot of things that actually caught us off guard, and that's one of the reasons why I liked it so much this year. It had actual surprises that I didn't see coming. Did you play the new Christmas level in Astrobot? There's a new Christmas level in Astrobot? I hadn't heard anything about it. I'll check it out if there is such a thing. I'll check it out tonight. I think it's hilarious how Art the Clown buried Joker at the box office. Well, I think it buried it for its launch weekend. I don't think it buried it in global overall box office. I think Joker 2 still ended up breaking 200 million, something like that. I don't think Terrifier 3 made that much. But I get your point. I mean, I just sat down and watched Joker 2 for the first time last night. God awful. That's one of the worst movies I've ever sat through. I'm not, being melodramatic. It was terrible. Literally one of the worst films I have forced myself to watch all the way through. My inclination, once they started singing, my first inclination was to turn it off and stop and save myself the remaining 2 hours. But I soldiered through. Why, I don't know. I will never watch that movie again. Never. Seventh, I don't like the fact that they say Art the Clown is the new king of horror. I disagree. Art has to beat the gore kills of Freddy, Jason. Art can't do... Well, honestly, Tokes, Art, his kills are a lot gorier than what you saw in Freddy, Jason, Friday the 13th. Even when you watch the director's cuts of those films, because they weren't able to get away with what they do with the Terrifier films, because Terrifier goes in unrated, basically, to be able to do what it does. You will never find anything in Freddy, if Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween, or even Hellraiser, that's as gory as that scene in the first Terrifier where he has a naked woman hung upside down and he whips out a chainsaw and cuts her from cooter to chin all the way down the middle. You will and shows it. Doesn't imply it, shows it. You will not find that in any of those. Now, were there gore films in the 70s and 80s? Sure. But they weren't, Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, or Pinhead. There's a lot in those movies that's more implied than you remember. As in implied more than shown. Like you might see blood spray up on the wall, but you don't see an actual person cut in half type stuff. Not to the level that you see with, and like in Terrifier 2, where he's just ripping that girl to pieces in the bedroom. None of those films have anything that comes even close to that visually. Better directed? Sure. Bigger budget in some cases. But on just pure gore factor, I would say that when it comes to pure gore factor, the only thing from like the 80s / early 90s that was a theatrical release that outdoes what Terrifier as a series does would be Peter Jackson's Dead Alive. Dead Alive is, just for the sheer amount on screen, the goriest movie I've ever seen. But it doesn't beat Terrifier out by much. No, there was nothing redeeming about Joker 2. Nothing. Just terrible. I don't even know how that got made. I look back at movies like the Garfield movie and I didn't even like it when I was 4 years old. I never was a big fan of Garfield even back in the 80s when it was just a cartoon. It didn't do anything for me. Why do I want to watch a show about a lazy cat? A lazy fat cat that just wants to sit around. Why do I want to watch that? Heathcliff, the cartoon, I liked. But not Garfield. Do you think the clown is similar to Michael Myers? No. The clown is a lot worse than Michael Myers. Michael Myers, is just an expressionless force of nature. And Art the Clown is apparently demonic from what I've seen so far. Killer Clowns from Outer Space was funny, but it's not a movie that, I want to see over and over again. Every several years I'll rewatch it, but it's not something that I'll watch annually or what have you. Faces of Death is not even a real movie, Tokes. That's combinations of actual footage mixed in with a bunch of fake stuff. So it shouldn't even really count. It's not even a real movie. I always thought Faces of Death was kind of dumb. It's like, I've seen gorier stuff being on patrol with ride-alongs with my dad than some of the stuff that I've seen in Faces of Death. And it has no plot. Here's a guy jumping off a building. Ooh. Here's a guy that got attacked by an alligator. Oh my goodness. Never seen that in Florida. And Faces of Death didn't do nothing for me. No offense, Tokes. What games shown at the awards caught your interest? Onimusha, the new Ninja Gaiden. There were others, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. Exorcist 3 was from Juggernauts. Exorcist 3 was fantastic. Exorcist 3 is one of my favorite horror films of all time. And very little gore, I might add. But it tells an excellent story and it has excellent acting. It has a fantastic 4K Blu-ray release, but it's $40 and I can't afford it. However, if somebody else donates $20 tonight, I'll be able to afford it. That'd be a nice little Christmas present for poor old 50-year-old 7th that didn't get nothing for his birthday and won't get nothing for Christmas. Wait a minute. Magic powers. Thoughts on the Blair Witch Project? Didn't like it. I liked the concept, but I didn't think it was well executed. Honestly, I think the Paranormal Activity movies did it better. Cannibal Holocaust certainly did it better. All Blair Witch Project did was remind people that films could be made that way. I liked the original Cloverfield Project better than Blair Witch. Okay, that's nothing important. No. But yeah, it's trash. I don't like Blair Witch. You know, I like the found footage genre, but I like ones that are a little bit better done. Like The Taking of Deborah Logan. I love The Taking of Deborah Logan. It cracks me up. And, when the first time I watched it, to me, it was legitimately creepy. Because it can be creepy being around elderly people that have just, they're just gone up there. Because you never know what they're going to say or what they're going to do. You have to keep sharp objects away from them so they don't try to harm themselves or harm you. Good Lord. You weren't a fan of the VHS movies? I liked the first two. After that, they've just been kind of up and down, up and down. The newest one was so-so. But really, it's the first two that I thought were done well. The rest of them after that, it's been, okay to awful. Why are we talking about horror movies so much in the middle of December? We already did this when I did the last one in October. Why are we still on this topic? I know I said we'll talk about whatever you want, but it's kind of weird that everybody wants to talk about horror movies. We're getting ready to have Christmas. Kind of weird. We don't have that many 4K movies. All of our movies are split in half. So the ones that 8th really, really wants are upstairs. And then the ones that he don't care about, basically, stay down here with me. And so, we have a handful of 4K upstairs and a handful of 4K downstairs. I think the last 4K movie I got was the 4K re-release of The Goonies. I haven't even watched it yet. But at some point, I want to buy a halfway decent single disc 4K Blu-ray player while they're still available to be purchased, because I don't like the idea of putting so much wear and tear on the drives, video drives of my consoles. I would rather just, get me a dedicated 4K Blu-ray player instead of using my consoles for it and further wearing those out. I mean, I have both me and 8th have two PS5s, the regular one and the Pro, and we both have Xbox Series X's. So that's a total of 6 devices in the house that can play 4K Blu-ray players. Regardless, I would still like to have a dedicated player. Wait a minute. Oh, magic powers. Did you like Joyride? No, I didn't like Joyride. I didn't like The Strangers or whatever either. Ooh, people in masks breaking into the house. What in the world could we ever do about that? Smith & Wesson. Do you feel like the Amazing Spider-Man movies were cash grabs? I feel like the Amazing Spider-Man films was just Sony throwing together movies to keep from losing the film rights after they had a falling out with Sam Raimi. Sam Raimi was like, I'm tired of your meddling. F you. I'm not working on Spider-Man 4. And so then they had to scramble to figure something out to avoid losing, for the rights reverting back to Marvel. So they rushed these two movies out to hold on to it. That's what happened. Seventh, what game do I want to start after Veilguard? Respect to you not just being one of those puppets calls everything woke. Well, I mean, don't get me wrong, Bill. There is some of that in the game. But with Veilguard, you have more control over how much of that you have to interact with. You can somewhat restrict how much of that you have to stomach when playing that game. That being said, I don't think that Dragon Age Veilguard is an awful game. It's an awful Dragon Age game because it's even farther removed from the first two games than Inquisition was. What Dragon Age Veilguard plays like is another game that I really, really liked, which was Kingdoms of Amalur. It plays like Kingdoms of Amalur. So if you liked Kingdoms of Amalur, you will like Dragon Age the Veilguard, outside of a few things about the characters that may or may not appeal to you. Thoughts on Children of the Corn? I like the movie up to the ending where it's like, where the guy is like, Billy, does the Bible say anything about how to kill the monster? Yeah, it says to use fire. One, that's not in the story. Two, that just feels like they couldn't come up with an ending for this film because they didn't want to do the ending of the short story. And so someone just threw that line in there. And then they did a really bad, cheesy monster burning effect in the corn. And that was, it was a great movie up until the ending. I got Silent Hill 2 remake for $30. Might start it soon. But is that one in your crosshairs? I don't play survival horror that much. Eighth has already beat it. He has it upstairs. Did you see A Christmas Story, Christmas? It's the sequel. Yes, I've seen it. It was okay. I mean, it was better than A Christmas Story 2 that had a look-alike actor playing the role as a teenager. It was better than that one. Thank you, Beef Jerkings, for the happy birthday wishes. So far, I have had one $20 donation for birthday/Christmas. And depending on how many more donations I get tonight will determine what I get to buy myself as a Christmas present. Now notice, things are still progressing. We're still not 100%. We still have some stuff that needs to go in the garage. That's stuff that we moved in here for when we did our Halloween trick-or-treating thing, which went over very well. The neighborhood loved us. We had people standing in line at our garage to get candy from us. We had a shelf-top rack stereo system blasting out, Monster Mash and Grim Grinning Ghosts and Torture from the Jackson 5 and stuff like that. Just really fun Halloween stuff. I was using my megaphone and was doing a silly evil voice, and everyone was loving it. My new neighbors were laughing their butts off. They kept coming over, sticking their head through the garage and just grinning at the stupid crap that I was spewing out of the megaphone. So, just my flair for the theatric winning the day there. But of course, our garage has a bar in it, a wet bar, and so we had multiple fake cauldrons full of different kinds of candy lined all the way down the bar, and we would just let kids come up and pick three. What you want? Pick from any of the three. And so we had like a line going all the way down to the street of people just bringing their kids in to get candy from us. So we were a big hit. I was very happy. I wanted to put, I didn't have a whole lot of money to spend, obviously, but I wanted to put my best foot forward for the Halloween thing. I haven't sadly been able to do anything for Christmas because I'm old, fat, poor, and crippled, so I didn't have the money for putting up lights or anything out in the yard for Christmas. I know there are people that you can pay to come do it for you, but I don't have the cash for that. Because then you have to pay them to come and take it all down, too. So all I can do is I'm going to finish tomorrow decorating that Christmas tree, and then I'm going to, pull back the curtain there and just have it in the window. And that's the best that I can do this year. Sorry, neighborhood. Best I can do. 7th, who would win, Hulk or Superman in a fight? Superman. What's the worst Netflix movie you've watched? That's hard to say. I mean, I've been watching Netflix for years, and there's been a lot of movies that they hyped up as Netflix originals that I was just like, this was not good. I think the most glaring one really, well, they're not bad. They're just, they didn't live up to the hype, and that was the Rebel Moon films. Even the director's cuts, they were fun, but I've already completely forgotten every character in there and what the movie was about. There's no staying power. There's no Luke Skywalker. There's no Han Solo in there. You don't remember any of those characters. It's very generic. Have you seen the slasher called Valentine? I've seen Valentine, and I've seen the original My Bloody Valentine and the remake of My Bloody Valentine. Festive 7th. Yeah, that back there is as festive as it's going to get with me this year. Thoughts on the rumors of Ubisoft looking to sell? I don't doubt it at all. And they're probably looking to sell to Tencent or some other Chinese conglomerate, because I don't think Microsoft wants them. I hope that Happy Gilmore 2 Netflix movie will be okay. Well, I don't know. I would have preferred for Sandler to just keep making original films. I don't think Happy Gilmore needed a sequel. I don't think Billy Madison needed a sequel. Or The Waterboy, any of his old school classic stuff. I don't think it needs a sequel. I wouldn't mind having how about instead of Who Be Halloween, Who Be Holidays, and so it's like the Hanukkah Christmas movie, Instead of Who Be Halloween, Who Be Hanukkah. How about we get that? Thoughts on Hulk versus Wolverine? It was my introduction to Deadpool. Whatever. I'm kind of over the whole comics thing at this point, Deadpool versus Wolverine was a good movie, but it doesn't hold up as well for repeat viewings because so much of what made that movie enjoyable to see were the surprises in it and the cameos and all that. Once you've seen it, it doesn't have that same effect rewatching it. The plot is actually very thin. It's a bare bones plot that's just there to get you from, member berry scene to member berry scene. Is it fun? Yes. Is it a great script? No. I must not be thrilling y'all tonight because viewers are dropping like flies. I guess y'all just don't like it when I'm not feeling good. When I'm not feeling good, y'all do not like it. Not one little bit. Oh. Plus, a bunch of my regulars aren't here. The ones that would normally be chomping at the bit to get me on up there to force me to have to stay extra hours tonight. Do you see GTA 6 coming out in 2025? I don't know. I think 2026 sounds more likely. Did you like the Penguin? I haven't watched the Penguin because it doesn't look interesting to me. I enjoyed Fallout quite a bit. I liked Fallout a lot. I'm looking forward to playing Outer Worlds 2. And, I knew way early on that was not going to be an exclusive game. Even before Microsoft started doing this stuff, I told y'all that I felt Outer Worlds 2 would end up being multiplat. What'd you do for Thanksgiving? This year we did chicken and dumplings because neither 8th nor I are big on turkey. Sometimes, depending on time availability and whether me and 8th feel like fixing it, sometimes we'll just go to a restaurant that day, or sometimes we'll get one of those Thanksgiving meals in a box, like at Cracker Barrel or that kind of thing, and bring it home. There used to be a restaurant chain. They're not anywhere here in Texas, but there's a restaurant chain that's in the Carolinas, Tennessee, Florida, Georgia, called Sonny's Barbecue. And they used to do a barbecued turkey dinner, Thanksgiving dinner, that had all the fixings and everything you could possibly want. And we used to do that for Thanksgiving. Loved it. It was fantastic. But now we're in Texas and there is no Sonny's. Thoughts on the drone situation in New Jersey? I don't care what the government says. It's some kind of government drone. And they're probably flying them from offshore on a ship across to... all of these sightings have been very close to an air base there in New Jersey. And the reason they're able to fly longer than these little pissant drones that citizens are trying to catch them with is because they're recharging there at that air base or whatever it is, and the government just doesn't want to say anything because they don't want to give away this drone tech that they're using. Which the kind of drone tech that it is it can go from looking like a drone to looking like an aircraft. It has wings that can move up and down and fold and stuff, so it can hover in place, and that's what it is. They're about the size of an SUV. They're great big old things. And that's what they're seeing. There's no big mystery. It's not the Chinese spying on us. The government just doesn't want to talk about these drones that, for whatever reason, they're just very blatantly flying right over a bunch of people's houses. It's just the U.S. government doing what it does best, being stupid. How is Avowed delayed to early 2025 and we're already hearing about Outer Worlds 2? I don't know. I mean, to me, Avowed doesn't look all that good. We'll see. I've been proven wrong before, but that game looks a couple of generations old. You know what I'm saying? 7th, Pepsi or Coke? Pepsi. It's sweeter. That my opinion on that might change if Coke was to go back to cane sugar instead of the high fructose corn syrup, which I know Pepsi uses the same stuff, but Pepsi's formula tastes sweeter. Pepsi to me tastes closer to like double cola or RC cola than Coke. Thoughts on The Sopranos? I never got into it, and you'd think I would. You'd think I would because I loved Goodfellas, Casino. I even liked The Irishman, all 3.5 hours of it. But I don't like Sopranos. It's like I tried to watch the first episode, and when he was in there whining and complaining to his shrink, I was like, nope, I'm done. And I turned it off. Also, I know you're not supposed to have any more sugar, but you should sometimes. I've had Shirley Temples when I was a kid, man. That's what you would get at a bar when you're not old enough to drink alcohol. Your parents have to meet somebody at a bar and they have to bring you, and they order you a Shirley Temple. That's just, you know. Thoughts on the CEO killer situation? Cold-blooded murder is never justified, no matter what it is that person did, unless it's in literal, in the moment self-defense. In which case, it's not murder; it's self-defense. It may be fun just because it's fun to watch. In the Boondock Saints, they were killing organized criminals. They were killing mobsters. It's not the same as just my claim got denied by insurance. The CEO, who was 50 levels removed from what happened to me, he's got to die. Can you imagine what this country would be like if that's the way we handled everything around here? You put the wrong kind of hamburger in my bag. Say hello to my Lord and Savior for me. Pow. Where do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line? I've only had this car a week, and already the powertrain is I'm having to bring it back for you guys to look at it 3 times now. Pow, pow, pow. Where do you draw the line? Of consumer advocacy, vigilantism. Anyone that you see celebrating that, they need some help up here. Now, a father beating the hell out of somebody that raped his little girl, I have no compunctions about that. But, I had to pay too much of a deductible on my surgery. He's got to die? No. No, there's no justification for that. Try Shirley Temple 7-Up. I used to drink 7-Up when I was a kid. I actually like 7-Up better than Sprite. Seventh, I'm disappointed with my Steam Deck purchase. I can't afford a Steam Deck, so be happy you could afford to buy one. I'm kidding. After all, I have a PS5 Pro. If I hadn't bought a PS5 Pro, I could have afforded a Steam Deck. I just didn't want one. What am I going to do with a Steam Deck? I'm sitting at home in my recliner 99% of my life with my consoles right in front of me. What good does a handheld do me? Nothing. Handheld PC does nothing for me. I never go anywhere anymore. I put less than 20 miles a month on my car. It's a 7-Up flavor. Well, for me, Shirley Temple was a drink you got at the bar for your kid. That's what my dad would order for me if he had to take me somewhere where alcohol was being served. Thoughts on Sony trying to... Well, it's been confirmed that Sony is attempting to make that purchase. And there are several people in Katakawa that want it to happen. So, We'll see. We'll see. Maybe then we'll actually get our Bloodborne remaster. Or better yet, Bloodborne 2. No, I didn't watch The Penguin. I noticed that boxes of cereal in other countries, such as Fruit Loops, are different than in the U.S. Well, a lot of there's going to be differences in taste and various other things because there's ingredients here in the United States that are considered poison in Europe and not allowed to be used. That's the truth. Look it up. Thoughts on WWE Raw going on Netflix in January. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. I'm not all that enthused about it because so much of it revolves around the whole tribe thing storyline. You know, which to me it really feels kind of like the whole NWO thing from WCW, where you had a faction that was really hot and it's going on, you know, they've been doing this storyline for what, 2 years now? It's starting to feel like NWO, and they're just bringing in more Islanders, more Samoan wrestlers in to kind of, you know, rotate it in and out, and now they're splitting it up into factions, and it feels like NWO to me. And I'm just bored of hearing about it. Yeah, exactly, Max. Exactly. It is it's Samoan NWO is what it is. And it's been going on for too long. They need to find something else. It feels like they're starting to spin their wheels a little bit. And I thought that, you know, Rhodes going over for the belt was signaling the end of that storyline. But just like with Sting beating Hogan at Starrcade, that wasn't the end, and they're just still trying to, you know, squeeze blood out of that rock. That lava rock, because it's from Hawaii. Get it? Anyway, next question. Oh, there isn't a next question. You guys are depressing me. And I was already depressed because I'm 50 years old. I feel all swollen in my face. I don't know what's going on with me. I'm swollen. I'm hurting. I can't seem to quench my thirst. Hi, table. Hey, 7th. How you been? I've been better. I'm 50 years old. Which means I've been better at least 49 times. Witcher 4 thoughts. Well, I know that there was a lot of people that wanted to play as Ciri. So, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of folks excited about it. But like I said, I'm kind of done. I'm burnt out on female protagonists. I'm just as burnt out on female protagonist games as I am zombie games. You know, I've had my fill. Don't need no more. Next thing you know, Spider-Man 3 will be all about Spider-Gwen when Insomniac reveals it. Yeah, I'm almost twice your age, High Table. Acknowledge my pain through Streamlabs. Make sure that I have at least have a Merry Christmas, you know, right there. Right there. Do you think Vince Russo was the final nail in the coffin for WCW was already dead when they brought him in. There wasn't anything that he could have done to make it any better. Worse, sure, but not better. Here's another thing. Look at this. See these red blotches on my face? That's what happens when I shave now. That didn't used to happen, but now every time I shave, my face breaks out in these red welts. I don't know what's going on. I guess it's an old thing or it's a diabetes thing. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I'm just dying on the vine, guys. I'm just dying on the vine. You should see my gray hair. My dad went full gray in his 30s. Well, I'm not there. I have still some darkness in my beard. And honestly, usually I dye my beard. But we're, saving money wherever we can. So I stopped buying beard dye. And I have gray in my sideburns, but then the rest of it is just, brown. I have like gray streaks here and there, but I mean, well, you guys saw me when I had my hair long. It wasn't gray, it was brown. AEW or TNA, who better? I wouldn't know. I don't watch either one of those trash. I don't watch them. You got one being run by a billionaire child and the other one being run by the Smashing Pumpkins. Who wants to watch that crap? Not me. Not me. I barely can even bring myself to watch anything about WWE these days, much less crap like that. Are you kidding? Are you serious? No. 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 Oh. Well, come on, guys. Let's try to at least get this interesting, because after all, we have 2 hours remaining. 2 hours, we've had one $20 donation. I can only hope to have aged like you when I'm 50. You don't look bad for your age at all. That's what I'm saying. Aside from these weird things that are happening to me now, like these red whelps that break out on me when I shave, you can see it real bad in my chin. Look, my chin is bright red from where I shave. See that? Aside from stuff like that and the little gray in my beard, and of course the fact that I'm fatter than I was when I first started YouTube, I don't really feel I look that much different than I did when I started this show, 15 and a half years ago. I don't have wrinkles, there's no crow's feet, look at there. I don't have big heavy bags under my eyes or any of that. No wrinkles, I don't have frown line. I have a couple of little frown lines on my brow right there, and that's it. But I certainly feel 50. Everything hurts. It hurts to do everything. I feel like if it wasn't for the fact that I can't afford it, I could probably file for disability and get it because of how bad my health is. Because I'm not anywhere near as heavy as Boogie is, or even Kid Behind the Camera. But my mobility is terrible. It's almost to the point where some days I feel like I need a walking cane. Now, I would never get one of those ones that old people get from the old folks' home that have like the gray rubber grip, with the big gray rubber prong on the bottom. I'd get me something cool, I'd get me like a black walking stick with like a silver skull on it or something befitting me. I wouldn't get this, government-issued grandpa crap. But still, that's what it feels like. It feels like, I ought to be walking with a cane because of how bad, my knees and my ankles and my lower back are. And, I'm sure it would certainly help if I could shed 100 pounds. That would do wonders. But the more I try to do it, the harder it seems to get. And I don't want to go, and I can't afford to go on that Ozempic crap. Yeah, and here's the thing, though. The Ozempic crap, it works by killing your appetite. My thing isn't appetite because I'm not eating that much. You know, I had my dinner at 3 o'clock this afternoon. I haven't ate anything since, and I won't. You know, I never go above 2,000 calories a day. Tops. Usually much less than that. And yet, you know, I'm not gaining any weight, but I'm not losing any either. I'm kind of just stuck in a holding pattern and have been for a couple of years now. Let's see here. WWE stopped being good when the Attitude Era stopped. You're not wrong. Well, I mean, I guess the Ruthless Aggression era was so-so. To make you feel extra old, I watched your Xbox One-ish video when I was 10. Dear Lord. Last week I became old enough to drink. Thanks, Far. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Now you need to give me at least $1, sir. You made me feel older than I already did. That deserves $1. Did you like PlayStation 30th Anniversary Update, and did you use any of the themes? Yeah, I'm currently using the PS2 theme. My preference would be that they don't get rid of that, and we're allowed to keep it if we want to keep it. I remember there was a protest at Michigan in the headquarters of Kellogg putting food dyes in their... Yep. Sony, you know, some of the food dyes that they use in cereal are derived from crushed bugs. Did you know that? Let's see here. And I say that as someone who didn't even start watching in the Attitude Era, I went back and saw all the old stuff was blown away. Yeah, that was the peak. That was the peak, High Table. You gave, and now it's your time to receive. Well, so far I've only received from one person, Beef. I'm not really receiving beef. Ozempic is too expensive. You're right, it is. Try Manjaro instead. Works just as good. Manjaro. Works just as good, less pricey. If that's like the off-brand, I can't afford it either. I mean, it's covered by my medical coverage, but the copay on it's still too high. Yeah, I'm already paying like $50 a month for the diabetic stuff they've already got me on, the Jardiance. Do you have any intention of trying the new Metro VR game? Nope. Because I never get to play VR. All the VR stuff is up in the 8th room. Where you been? Working. Sometimes 80 hours a week or more. We're understaffed, which means that I'm having to work during my off time. I'm on Christmas vacation right now. This was the first day of my vacation. It's supposed to run from today until returning to work January 2nd. 19 days off. Right? Because I've been with the company that long that's the amount of vacation time I get. I get 4 weeks a year. I work 11 months a year. But because we had one person who had to take a 7-month leave of absence, I'm basically having to work 2 jobs instead of 1, and I'm a salaried employee, so I don't get time and a half for any of this. I don't get, and it's because of the fact that I'm doing it voluntarily and it's not something mandated upon me. It doesn't reflect in my year-end review for determining, my raise and bonus next year either. There's like zero benefit to me doing this, other than the fact that I know it'll reflect poorly on the entire team if it doesn't get done. So I do it. And I've been doing it nonstop since June. And it's not going to stop till the dude comes back in February. I got 2 more months of this I got to go through. And so I'm off the next 19 days, but I still have to log in for a couple of hours a day to work tickets. And I just leave myself logged out of chat and everything so no one sees me doing it. And only management and my team knows that I'm doing it. Is what it is. You was 10 when I was in my... That's not to me. I was in my early 20s when I watched his Xbox One video. Yeah, I was... Let's see. That was 2013. I was 39 when I made that video. Bill, every company takes advantage of every employee. That's how it works. Could they? Well, my manager loves me for it. High table. But there's not anything that he could do to, like, compensate me for it. You know, he couldn't, like, you know, cut me a company check or something like that. You know, he couldn't give me, like, $1,000 gift card out of the budget or anything. He can't do anything like that. And he can't do anything in my year-end review that's going to get me, you know, a bigger raise or a bigger bonus because of it. Because it's not part of my official job requirement. It is what it is. Just, you know, I was just trying to explain where I've been. You know, it sucks the life out of me in some cases. Some weeks I'm okay, and then some weeks I'm just drained, and I can't even. It's a struggle to even get up out of the chair just to have the energy to fix myself something to eat or go to the bathroom or shower, which I do shower, but you know, sometimes I'm just so drained from it, and you wouldn't think that would be, because it's a desk job. I'm sitting in a recliner doing IT work. You wouldn't think that would be that draining. But try sitting and doing IT work without moving for 16 hours. Now try doing it 6 days a week. Yeah. If I had to do this all the time and not just for this 7-month stint, it would probably kill me. Probably. I don't care, Farb. If you want to use Super Chat, that's fine. Whatever you want to do. 7th, how Crap Gamers still have a chance? I have no idea. I didn't even know he was still on YouTube. They should give everyone a Christmas bonus. You know what they do every year? They send a holiday gift, and it's usually stuff that you would never want. Like the most disgusting tasting vegan healthy Christmas candy and crap. You know, and they'll send like a thermos that is so small that it's pointless for anyone that has to really hydrate. You know, they'll send like this little care package where they pay a company to put this stuff together and ship it to you. That stamps the company logo on it, stuffs the stuff in the little box, and ships it off to everyone. That's what they do every year. You know, there is no Christmas bonus or anything like that. Thanks, Farb. That was donation number 5. So thank you for your 5th donation to the channel. I appreciate you. Thank you for the $1. That puts us up to $21 for the evening. Being a workaholic, you're right. It takes a certain mentality to be able to do what I do. And part of that is that I'm and I've talked about this before, but I'm moderately OCD. I'm not OCD to the point where, you know, I have to do a little ritual to be able to open the door, and I can't stand to step on cracks in the concrete and that kind of crap. But when it comes to work, when it comes to my work, I'm very OCD. I have to have everything a certain way. I have to do everything in the same order every day, you know. And I'm like that with other things too, but you know, I'm just not so far gone that, you know, I'm As Good as It Gets bad, if you've seen that movie. I'm nowhere near that level. I don't have to use a fresh bar of soap every time I wash my hands and all that kind of crap because I'm not a germaphobe. But when it comes to my work ethic, I'm very OCD. I have to, and I'm never satisfied with the amount of work that I complete. I'll log out if I do a regular 8-hour shift. I will log out, and I will have met my metrics, even exceeded them, but still feel like I didn't get enough done. That I didn't justify my reputation there that day. And so I'll go eat, and then I might nap for an hour, and then I'll wake up after everyone else has logged out for the day, and I will log back in and do more work. I was doing that before this guy left, but I was only doing it for maybe an extra hour and closing an extra 4 or 5 cases, business cases. Now, that one or 2 extra hours has turned into 4 to 8 extra hours. And I don't take lunches. I don't take breaks. The only time I stop is to get up to go to the restroom. That's it. I'm nonstop. It's the way I've always been. But before taking the last 2 positions that I've had with the company, I was hourly and I got paid overtime. I don't get paid overtime anymore because I was promoted 2 times, and so now I'm in a salaried position. And so I don't get overtime for all this extra work that I've been doing. Can you do stretches while at work? Well, yeah, because my work is right over there in the recliner. So sure, I could get up and stretch, but usually I'm in the work zone. I'm 100% focused. I have to monitor like 30-something different systems. And so I'm constantly moving from window to window. And with the exception of when I literally have to, do a number 1 or a number 2, I don't get up. I just stay right there working away. Did you see the comments by Hulk Hogan that Chris Benoit should be forgiven? No, I have not seen that. And no, I do not agree. I mean, from a Christian standpoint, yeah, I know what he's saying. But, understanding that he was, a mentally ill person and that he wasn't in his right mind, okay, fine. However, from a Christian standpoint, there is no forgiveness for suicide because it's self-murder. You're murdering yourself, and hence you're already dead before you can ask for forgiveness for killing yourself. So, I don't know. Bible says that blaspheming the Holy Spirit is the only unforgivable sin. So I guess even suicide is forgivable, though from a logistical standpoint, I don't understand how it would be. But, forgiving him from a Christianly perspective, I understand. Forgiving him from a fan perspective and, let's put him back in the Hall of Fame and let's put his matches back on the net. No. No, he doesn't get, he can, up to God, because we can't judge, can have his soul saved, but don't think his career should get back any of its former honor or respect. I don't think it's right to be celebrating a man that, even with mental illness, murdered his wife and son. No. No. Nope. Oh. I really should hop on to Billy's stream tonight and make him play Sword of Sodan. I haven't been on his stream in a long time. I should hop on there and torture him. I should do that. Don't know that I will, but I should. There's a lot of games out there that I still haven't played yet. I haven't played Star Wars Outlaws, but of course that's another girl boss game, so I don't know if I'd like it or not. I've heard other problems with it too. I did manage over Black Friday to get a really good deal on that PS5 racing game from Ubisoft, The Crew or whatever. The Crew Wreck Fest or whatever the hell it's called. I don't remember. I put a couple of hours into it. I mean, it's a pretty blatant ripoff of Forza Horizons. It plays just like Forza Horizons. I mean, it doesn't do it badly. It's a good game, but still, it's not anything original. But as far as Indiana Jones goes, I may play it on Game Pass while I'm on Christmas break. I may. But I won't, if I like it, I'll be purchasing it physically when it comes out for PS5. Why? Because if you buy it physically on Xbox, all you're getting is a digital license and it still downloads the game off the server. The game is not on the disc at all. You're buying a coaster. And I'm not, that's one of the reasons why, if I do any Xbox collecting, it's all OG Xbox or Xbox 360. I have very little for Xbox One / Series X because most of the games now that are new coming out physically for those don't actually have the game on the disc. It's just a license to download it off of their network. So it's worthless to have it from a collecting standpoint. And once Sony gets to the point where they're doing the same crap, that's when I'm done. I won't be buying physical games anymore, except for my retro collections. It's depressing. It really is. Because collecting is half of the fun for me. It's not just about playing, it's about collecting. And that's half of my fun, is going out and finding these games that I've wanted in my collection but are missing. I don't get that kind of thrill with digital games. Nope. I like to be able to hold it in my hand. I like to be able to open it up and look at the artwork and look at the artwork on the disc or the artwork on the cart. That's why I got this Polymega sitting right here. That's why I've got my Polymega sitting right here next to me. Which reminds me, while I'm on Christmas break, while I'm on Christmas break, I need to update the firmware on this thing. I've got the N64 module for it now. I got it several months ago. I had it on pre-order, but I haven't installed it yet because there was issues with the previous firmware, and they just released new firmware to fix that issue. So I'm going to do that sometime while I'm off. Even though I only have like 4 or 5 N64 games, it's one of my smallest collections because I'm not that big of a fan of the N64. Not really. Because I just don't think 3D games with only one analog stick are all that good. That was my biggest complaint with the Dreamcast too, was that they didn't come out with a dual stick controller like Sony did. Which is crazy because the Dreamcast came out after the PlayStation 1 did. But still only had one analog stick when the DualShock was already out by then. I don't get it. Why didn't they follow in Sony's footsteps with that? The Dreamcast would have been so much better with a second analog stick. Whatever, you guys. Do I need to point out that you have stopped asking questions? I don't have much of a show if you don't ask questions, guys. Just remind all of y'all of that. There's one thing I can't stand about Christmas time. It's the cold weather. Goodness gracious. It's a toe-freezingly chilly 66 degrees outside. Yes, everybody make sure you give me a thumbs up on the stream, please. I appreciate it. Doesn't help for a guy that can go months at a time without posting anything, but it does help. Have you ever had energy drinks? I avoid them. Yes, I avoid them too. Sorry I'm late for class, Mr. 7th. Hello, Clean Frame. Been begging me on Twitter to stream for months. Shows up an hour and a half late to the stream. There's something suspicious about that, guys. That's shady. That's really shady. 7th says, Sega, come back to the... No. Too far gone. Too far gone. How long do you keep your tree up? As long as humanly possible. I keep it up until 8th starts complaining about it, and then I begrudgingly take it down. My record is I made it halfway through April one year. If it was up to me, I'd leave it up all year so I don't have to bother with decorating it every year, but that's just me. Is the Pro worth getting even if I have the PS5? Well, that kind of depends on your setup and the games that you have and what matters to you as far as visible fidelity. For me, I was happy getting it just because it doubled my storage space, but, But I like the fact that, I have it because I like buying, as far as my collection is concerned, I like having the most powerful version of the hardware. Have I ever dealt with below zero temperature? Yeah, I was in the blizzard of 93. Are you prepared for Christmas? I've gotten 8th all of his Christmas so far, yes. I've already gotten him all of his Christmas. There is no more Christmas for 8th. It's all done. I haven't wrapped any of it yet, but it's all done. It's all done. He's still out of a job, so I won't be getting anything for Christmas. But not this year. But he's all taken care of, including $460 I spent this week to sign him up for a driver's education course to get him his driver's license so that he can hunt farther out from the house for a job and not rely on me to drive him around everywhere. I'm with you on digital only. When it hits across the board, I'm done. Yeah. Would you say in today's age it would be more difficult for a company to launch a new system or back in the day? Seems like there's less competition today as opposed to Sega, Nintendo, Sony, etc. Well, remember that, when Sega was in their prime, there were multiple options out there, but only one of them was serious competition to them, and that was Nintendo. You had Nintendo, you had Sega, you had Panasonic with their real 3DO, you had the Atari Jaguar, you had the Philips CDI. I mean, there was a lot of systems out there, but only two of them were really selling, and that was Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. And so then the next generation starts, Sega screws themselves, and Sony steps in because Nintendo screwed them, and suddenly it becomes a three-man race when prior two were getting the bulk of the business. And Sega was not built to survive that the way Nintendo was, because Nintendo still had their handheld business to fall back on. Sega's handheld business had died because the Game Gear didn't take off. There was a lot of factors. There was a lot of factors there. Whether you could successfully launch a new system today, it all depends on what you're bringing to the table. You know, as far as A, features of the system, B, cost, and C, the library. If a system was super affordable that had a library that would put everything short of the PC to shame, sure, it would be successful. But you're not going to see that. You're not going to see that because right now we're in an economy that is risk averse. I kind of already answered that question, Samurai, about no, Apple should not make a console. They should just stay in their lane. This is not the time. What's your take on the character that comes in midway through the story of an RPG? Depends on how it's handled. If it's shoehorned in, no. If it feels like it was earned, yes. Are there any types of games that 8th absolutely hated? You mean as far as genre? Sports games. Sports games. Closest he gets to liking sports games is racing games. The Steam Deck is what Steam Machine should have been. Maybe. But now there's rumors that they're going to try it again. That they're going to come out with basically a non-handheld version of a Steam Deck. We'll see. I'm not really all that... I don't really care. You know, I don't... like I said, Steam Deck doesn't offer me anything. And a Steam box wouldn't offer me anything either. Because most of it is stuff that I've already got on Xbox or PS5. Do you think the Wii U was a complete disaster? Not just with the lack of third-party support with a bunch of... Well, it did have a number of problems, yes. A lot of it being in marketing. I didn't really care for the whole ecosystem and the way that it worked. It wasn't as fun to play as the Wii was. It didn't have enough of a good gimmick to repeat the success of the Wii. And people will say, oh, well, it was the precursor to the Switch. Yes and no. But really what the Switch was just the replacement of the 3DS, because they bombed so bad with the Wii U that the only way they were going to stay solvent was combining their two markets into one. So they sold you a handheld and told you it was a console, and it sold like hotcakes because their handhelds, starting with the Game Boy Advance, always sold better than their consoles. I mean, look at the DS and the 3DS. Sold way better. Way better. You know, you were getting close to PS2 numbers with those. Well, maybe not with the Advance, but with the DS/3DS, sure. Seventh, what kind of technology predictions do you have for gaming for the next 10 years? You predicted Game Pass. Any other potential ideas? No, because things are too much in flux right now. I'm going to have to give the economy some time to iron itself out before we can start guessing about what's coming later on down the pipe and seeing what direction it goes, because people kept saying, oh, physical will never be dead, but now you got companies that are stopping production of 4K Blu-ray drives. Kind of hard to have physical media if you have nothing to play said physical media. Just saying. What'd you give the Game Awards out of 7? It was a solid 5. 5 out of 7. Not mind-blowing, but way better than it has been. Significantly better than it has been. What'd you think of Google Stadia? I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a joke because you had to pay for the service and then you still had to pay for the games. If you paid for the service and the games just came with it, that would have been a different story, but that's not what it was. It didn't make any sense from a financial standpoint from the consumer's perspective. It doesn't cost you anything to play games on Steam, but you do have to buy them. Stadia, you had to pay to play them, and you had to buy them. So why would you do that instead of Steam? In today's climate, do you think GTA 6 will be as offensive as it used to be? I don't know, man. I don't know. I want to say that Rockstar will rise above that stuff and release the type of game their fans demand, but it's hard to say this day and age. It's hard to say. When we live in a world where, like, the most offensive comedy to make it to the theater after The Hangover was Bad Moms. Comedy is mostly dead in the theater because companies are too afraid of offending people. Another game I haven't gotten to play yet is Space Marine 2. I still haven't gotten to play that one. I haven't gotten to play Black Myth Wukong. There's a lot of big games out there that I haven't had the chance to play because we don't have them yet. Beef Jerkings, you already know how I feel about online play. Unless it's like co-op, like, playing Borderlands online with a friend, I just don't really have any love for it anymore. Yeah, they released a patch for the GTA original trilogy re-release that was basically the size of the original game, and from what I've heard, it fixed a lot of things. I don't know, because I didn't buy it. Black Myth is a must-play if you like Souls-likes. I'm actually not a big fan of Souls-likes, but 8th was telling me that he didn't really feel it played like a Souls-like. 8th said it reminded him more of a Stellar Blade / Devil May Cry style combat. I don't know. It's my understanding that the console version of the re-release of Red Dead Redemption had a patch, and that at least on the Pro, it's 60 frames per second. I don't know. I don't know because I don't own it. I have a video game recommendation, Sandland. I already have it. I got it when it came out. I just haven't finished it. I haven't finished it because I got to a point in the plot where I couldn't find what I was supposed to go do next. And so I was just randomly roaming around the map trying to find what I was supposed to do, and I got bored and put it down and picked up something else. Oh. Red Dead is 60 on PS4, and well, it was my understanding when it first came out on PS4, it was having serious frame rate issues, and people were complaining about, this because this is a PS3 game. Why isn't it 60 frames per second? And so I never bought it. It's my understanding now that it works though. Do you think EA will shut down BioWare in the next? It's entirely possible because what I've heard is that Veilguard has not sold well at all. Having played Veilguard, do you think there's any hope for Mass Effect 4? Not, I don't know. Like I said, I didn't really have that much of a problem with the combat because I wasn't, dedicated to the traditional Dragon Age battle system. I liked the combat okay because it reminded me of Kingdoms of Amalur, which I loved. So, I didn't have a problem there. And again, when it came to quote-unquote woke stuff, for the most part, you only have to participate in that as much as you choose to. And even then, you don't have to listen to any of it because you can hit the little skip button to skip past all the dialogue and then just make a choice. Do you try to avoid guides as much as possible? Very rarely will I ever pull up a guide of any kind. I prefer to just figure it out. I don't like having to stop and pull something up on a different screen to try to figure out what I'm doing. I'd rather spend an hour trying to figure it out for myself than spending 5 minutes to pull it up on a website. And yes, some of the writing in Veilguard is bad because it has this kind of Joss Whedon style to it that fell out of favor a while back. I mean, it's trying really hard to copy his style or copy Gunn's style for the Guardians of the Galaxy / Suicide Squad, James Gunn. It's trying really hard to be that, but it's just not getting there. That style of writing does not fit dark epic fantasy, which is what Dragon Age is supposed to be. That doesn't surprise me, Nicholas. It's very, and it's with the election results being the way they are, it's going to be, you're going to start seeing more and more of that as a sort of a reversal, a backlash to how it's been for the last 4 years. You're going to see a lot of things like that happening because a lot of these folks that have been celebrating someone being shot down in the street are on the left. I don't know why. I don't know why that is. That's one of the reasons why I don't talk about politics on here, because I don't follow it enough to be able to give an educated answer about it. Yeah, it's impossible to, in the new Dragon Age, it's impossible to piss off one of your team members so much that they leave the party. That used to be a possibility. If you didn't want them in there, you could intentionally mess with them until they left or, do what you had to do to get rid of them. Not anymore. Not anymore. A lot of it feels like toddler talk. There's scenes in there where there's two of them arguing over something stupid, and your character comes in and talks to them like a kindergarten teacher scolding two kids that are fighting over a cookie. It's that puerile. So like I said, the writing, the woke stuff you can skip. You're not going to be able to skip how terrible the writing is, aside from just constantly hitting the skip dialogue button and just, following objectives on your map. But you shouldn't have to do that. In an epic dark fantasy RPG, you should be able to just enjoy the story. And that's not something that happens with Veilguard. If all you care about is the gameplay, you'll be fine. But if you go into it expecting a compelling story, which that should be something you expect with an RPG, you're not going to get that. That's just one thing that, my father instilled in me at a young age was, when it comes to public discourse, especially at the workplace, and in some ways, my YouTube channel is a workplace. I have to work to maintain it. But when it came to the workplace, two things you should never discuss with your coworkers are politics and religion. And my dad told me that at a young age, and I believed it then, and I still do. Black Lightning, who are you trying to convince? I didn't recommend to go buy the game. I just said there's nothing wrong with the combat, that I enjoyed the combat. What is it that you're trying to convince me of? I think Spider-Man 2 had some woke stuff in it, but mainly in the side missions, I still think it was a good game. For me, I didn't finish Spider-Man 2 because for me, it just didn't do enough to differentiate itself from the first game. I just felt like I was playing really long DLC for the first game. And I realized that was going to be somewhat of a factor because of the fact that both games take place in the same city in New York. It's not like with Infamous where they can switch from city to city, but still. Exactly, Beef. Exactly. So I just, when I'm at work, I keep my politics and my religion to myself. I know the Bible says to go out in the world and spread the gospel, but I'm not spreading it over Teams chat. I'm not doing it. There's too many that I have to pay the bills. Will PlayStation have competition again? I don't know, man. I don't know. It depends on how much of an influence Microsoft's decision has on the rest of the industry. I played Dragon Age for its combat because its combat feels like Kingdoms of Amalur, and I enjoyed the combat loop of Kingdoms of Amalur. Do you think Guerrilla Games should go back to making Killzone? I don't know, man. Killzone Shadowfall was pretty bad. I did not like that game. For whatever reason, they decided to stop being Killzone and start being Crysis, and it didn't work. It did not work. I did not enjoy that game. Not at all. Did not care for it. And no, I have not popped it in the PS5 Pro to see what it looks like, to see if it did anything for it, because I just don't like that game. We have it somewhere, probably upstairs in Eighth's game room. Along with Knack and Knack 2. If you look behind me, the shelves that are glowing green and orange, the top shelf are my PS5 games. The next shelf down, the second shelf down, are my PS4 games. And then the next shelf down from that are my Blu-rays and 4K Blu-rays. And then the fourth shelf down are all my boxed TV shows like Thundercats, Voltron, G.I. Joe, Transformers, etc. Mask, Plastic Man, GoBots, Beetlejuice, The Real Ghostbusters, etc., etc., etc. Well, you didn't offend me. It just seemed like you were trying to convince me that I shouldn't enjoy the combat of the game, or enjoy and to try to enjoy the game only for its combat. Which, in most instances, when it comes to RPGs, I agree that, a key component of an RPG is the story. And so the story should be good and keep you engaged for that style of game. But then again, Dragon Age doesn't play like that style of game. It plays like an ARPG, which are a lot lighter in story than a traditional RPG like old school Dragon Age was. So, for example, I don't really pay too much attention to the story of Diablo because, I'm just running around killing hordes. And for me, that's how I enjoyed Dragon Age. I enjoyed it in the same way that I would play a Diablo-like. I don't really pay attention to the story at all in a Diablo-like. I'm running around killing hordes and finding loot. Magic powers. Thoughts on Elden Ring? I'm not into Dark Souls type games, but I enjoy laughing at the Rage compilations. Haven't played it. I already know that I don't like games like Dark Souls, Demon Souls, so I haven't even picked up Elden Ring because I assume that I'm not going to like that one either. I typically do not like slower paced combat where, you're having to parry and dodge and, I typically don't care for that. I've grew up on fast paced stuff like, 2D Ninja Gaiden and stuff like that. So I like combat that's like, rush in, slaughter the shit out of everything on the screen and then move on to the next screen. Stuff like, Devil May Cry and Bayonetta and stuff like that. That's the kind of games that I like in regards to that. And it's the same thing with Kingdoms of Amalur. You're not having to do a bunch of dodging and parrying and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you can play defensively, but I go in to slaughter everything on screen, and I'm just bouncing from bad guy to bad guy. And of course, when you're leveling up, you can't necessarily do that because you'll run into enemies that are overpowered, but that's what grinding is for, but you can't really grind that way in a Souls-like. Not that way, anyway. So, it's just not my style of game. Yeah, I've rewatched all of Star Trek a couple of years ago. Next Generation and original series. Some of it has aged well, some of it has not. Have I played Resident Evil 4 Remake? No. 8th has it. He beat it. I have not played it. Thoughts on the old God of War games? I prefer them to the new ones. The new God of Wars just feel like they tried to appeal to the Souls-like fans. They didn't go pure Souls-like, but they adopted enough things from the Souls-like genre to where it's kind of obvious what audience they were trying to appeal to. Especially with some of the stuff they did in the second game, Ragnarok. Yup, yup. Oh, here's something we can talk about. The Rock's movie Red One bombed so bad that it debuted on Amazon Prime this week for free. So I watched it last night. I had a good time watching it. But part of the reason that I had a good time watching it was because of how unintentionally fascinating that film is. It was marketed as a family-friendly comedy adventure. That is not what Red One is. Red One is one half buddy cop movie from the 80s mixed with an MCU film, a PG-13 MCU film with a bunch of Christmas schlock painted on it. It doesn't have the vibe of Christmas Vacation or Home Alone or the Santa Claus or any of that. It feels like a buddy cop movie in the MCU. You know, there's people saying the S word and a-hole and all this stuff throughout. It's got PG-13 dialogue. It gets really dark in some elements of the plot. It's just not... The film feels like it's tone deaf. It's watchable when you go into it knowing what it is. But a family that would have, a mom and dad that would have taken their kids to see this, I can't imagine them liking what it was. And while most of the effects look fine, I don't see the amount of money they spent on this. It looks like a movie made for Amazon. And with The Rock being the way he's been lately, I feel like he whined and complained that with all the money they spent on it, it should have a theatrical release, that it was worthy of a theatrical release. And so do they launch it in December? No, because December was too packed already. They launch it in November and nobody goes to watch it. So now it's free on Amazon Prime, which was most likely the plan to begin with. Is it a horrible movie? No. But there are way better Christmas movies out there. I mean, I'll tell you this. The Santa Chronicles movies that Kurt Russell made for Netflix are better than Red One. Even the second one, which I didn't like very much, because it had that annoying fat kid from King Kong versus Godzilla. That kid that I just hate him in every movie that he's in because he's just annoying. Has nothing to do with his weight, but he's just an annoying actor who always plays annoying characters that I can't stand. And so, I have that against Christmas Chronicles too, but otherwise, those Christmas movies are better than Red One. There are some aspects of it that I like. I like how they pull in Krampus into it. And I liked, I can't remember the actor's name, but, the guy that played J. Jonah Jameson in Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy, he plays Santa, and, it's a good Santa Claus, really. And the weird part is, at the end of the movie, they try to switch gears and make it that feel-good, family-friendly Christmas movie in the last, 20 minutes of it, 15, 20 minutes. It's just kind of tonally all over the place. Weird film. I enjoyed watching it, but I understand why it flopped. First Home Alone will always be the OG for me. I always watch the first Home Alone for Thanksgiving and the second Home Alone for Christmas. I've got a lot of my Christmas backlog to get through. I've only watched a couple of them so far this year. Thoughts on the PSP and the Vita? The Vita was the superior system, but the PSP had the superior library. I think they should have done what the Switch did with the Wii U, and all of the best PSP games should have had remasters and re-releases on the Vita. That's what I think. Might have helped it out quite a bit. Could have filled in those why aren't we getting any exclusive complaints? What's your take on Ubisoft's situation? Ivan Drago. If they die, they die. How does The Rock fix his reputation? Seems like everyone hates him these days. I think he needs to take a step back and just focus on producing for a while. It feels to me like people are tired of seeing him in the theater. So I think he should just take a back seat and do the business executive thing for a while and then come back after a few years. Thoughts on the movie Downfall? I've never watched it. I'm not a big fan of movies about him. No, Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. Die Hard is an action movie that happens to take place on Christmas. But Christmas does not play a major key focal point of the film. It doesn't drive the action of the film other than the protagonist complaining about how he's supposed to be at home with his family on Christmas. But it doesn't drive any of the action. The action is driven by the fact that he's trying to save his wife. So it's not a Christmas movie because the plot is not driven by Christmas. Now, if these terrorists, instead of having his wife tied up, had Santa Claus tied up, then sure, that would be a Christmas movie. Because if Santa is tied up, he can't deliver presents. And guess what? Then you have Red One. I like Bad Santa. I'm not as big on Santa 2, Bad Santa 2, but I don't hate it like everybody else does. I still find humor in that movie. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. One hour remaining. We are 24 dollars away from extending by an hour. Most of you just didn't want me to have a good Christmas this year. Tear. Do you think the Minecraft movie will bomb badly at the box? It certainly looks like it will, because it doesn't look like Minecraft. It looks like Jack Black in a shirt that's too small for him, running around doing stupid crap. I have news for you. Jack Black is no longer a box office draw. Did anyone care about his Satan-worshipping Christmas comedy this year? No. Fragile. Must be Italian. That's one of the ones I haven't gotten around to watching yet. I haven't gotten around to watching that one. You see, that's the one thing that Sandler has never done, is he hasn't made a Christmas movie because he's Jewish. He made 8 Crazy Nights for Hanukkah, but he hasn't done a Christmas movie. And I think that that's what he should do. Instead of doing Happy Gilmore 2, he should bring back his Hoobie character from Hoobie Halloween and instead do a Hanukkah/Christmas movie with Hoobie. Instead of potentially ruining the reputation of his classic films. What's good, 7th? Are you watching Saturday night's main event? No, I'm not. I'm sitting here talking to you jokers. If Ultra Steel was here, he'd probably capture that little clip and make it into a meme. Gremlins is good for Christmas. Yes. Gremlins plays more into Christmas than Die Hard does. But I still wouldn't necessarily think of it as a Christmas movie. I would think of it more as a horror comedy that happens to take place at Christmas. Because while Christmas does play into the plot a little bit more with, animals getting strung up in Christmas lights, and he was bought as a Christmas gift, etc., etc. It also is a movie that came out in the summer of 1984. It did not come out December of 1984. Yes, Jack Black has a new Christmas movie on Paramount Plus where a kid misspells Santa on his Dear Santa letter, so his Dear Santa letter goes to Satan instead. And so Satan is running around impersonating Santa Claus for this kid. I'm not making that up. That's the plot. Now, who was brain dead enough to say, hey, let's have a Christmas movie starring Satan? That's not a horror film. Some of the writers in Hollywood, man, have lost their frickin' minds. Thoughts on the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory? I was more into the Chocolate and the Chocolate Factory because it was closer to the book. I like them both for different reasons. And I love Johnny Depp, but there's no touching Gene Wilder in that movie. There's just not. Thoughts on the movie Coraline? Coraline is one of 8th's favorite movies of all time. I think it's okay. But he has some kind of deep connection to that movie. He really, really, really likes that movie. It would not surprise me if 8th got a Coraline-themed tattoo as his next tattoo. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Because right now, on this arm, he has a Nordic God of War tattoo thing. Some writing in Norse. And then on the top of his arm, he has a character from Adventure Time. It's the vampire girl that plays guitar or whatever. He has her on his right arm. And then he has a Minecraft frog on the top of his right fist. Then on his left arm, he has a Silent Hill tattoo that has the nurses and Pyramid Head on it. And on his hand, on top of his fist, he has the baby and the fetus in the plastic case thing from Death Stranding. He has the little bee or whatever his name is, the little fetus in the container right there on his hand. I told him if I had been him, I wouldn't have gotten tattoos below the elbow, because now when he goes on job interviews, he's going to have to wear gloves and wear long sleeve shirts. But some places are deciding not to discriminate against people that have tattoos all over them. But in my day, all that was a guarantee that you weren't getting a job anywhere but like Walmart and Guitar Center, maybe Spencer's Gifts. That other what's that other store in the mall where you buy like the themed shirts and all that stuff? There's Spencer's Gifts, and then there's the other one, Hot Topic. You could get a job at Hot Topic, being all covered up in tattoos. Movie rental store, you could be a clerk at a movie rental store. If it's a mom and pop one, Blockbuster wouldn't have hired you, because they all wear short sleeve shirts, and they wouldn't have had you walking around with, and don't even get me started in the, people walking around with a bunch of Post Malone all over their face. No. Do I have tats? Yes, but they're all above the elbow. I have a great big one on my back, and then I've got tattoos on my left forearm and tattoos Tattoo on my right upper arm, tattoos on my left upper arm. I don't have anything that can't be covered up by a shirt. So none of my coworkers have ever seen my tattoos and never will, and most of them don't even know that I have any. 8th cannot do that without wearing long sleeve shirts all the time. And even then, because he got stuff done on the backs of his hands, those will always be visible. And what does he have? A weird little square demonic looking frog thing and what looks like from a distance a dead baby in a jar. Gee, I wonder what will happen during his job interviews. You know? I tried to warn him against that, but that's what he wanted. So hopefully, I mean, it didn't stop him from getting a job at Walmart. Well, he was already working at Walmart when he got the Dead Stranding fetus. So, they tried to give him a hard time about him, and I told him that they would. I don't think that was a smart call, but maybe it's getting to maybe I'm just I'm 50 years old and don't understand that companies don't care as much. But thank you, Chris. Thank you for the birthday well wishes. No, I did not like Bedazzled. But Bedazzled wasn't that was Satan in a comedy, not Satan in a Christmas movie. Thoughts on the movie Training Day? It's okay, but it's not something that I'd want to watch over and over. So I've seen it, and so I don't feel the need to re-see it. Well, we've only made it to $21, so what should I buy myself for Christmas for my $21 in donations? What should I get myself? Any recommendations? A good 4K Blu-ray movie that I can get for $21. Feel free to recommend, because we're only 45 minutes in left. So, it ain't happening tonight. Y'all don't love me no more. Tear. Thoughts on the Scary Movie? The first one was a Scream parody. I forget what the sequel was based on. A lot of the sequel was based on the remake of The Haunting of Hill House that had Liam Neeson in it. A lot of its jokes was from it. A box of moon pies. That's sugar. I'm diabetic. You trying to kill me, Vengeful? Taco Bell. I said a cheap Blu-ray movie or something. Not something that's tangible. Not something that I'm going to eat and be gone. Y'all start talking like that, I'm going to get back on my vape. I'll just go buy me $20 worth of vape. Come on, meow. Thoughts on the Nutty Professor? Didn't care for the originals at all. The original with Jerry Lewis or whatever, and I only marginally liked the remake with Eddie Murphy, and I didn't like the sequel to it at all. Nothing to Lose on Blu-ray. Nothing to Lose, Nothing to Lose. Is that a Bill Murray movie? Or is that a Tim Allen movie? I can't remember. I can't remember. I remember marginally enjoying the first Eddie Murphy Nutty Professor, but I did not like the second one. I don't remember why I didn't like it. I just remember really not liking it. Buy Metal Slug Tactics. I think it's $20. What system is it on? Is that like a Switch game? Because if it's a Switch game, I'm not going to play that. I have tons of Switch games that I don't play. Tim Robbins and Martin Lawrence? I'm not a tremendous fan of either one of those actors. The dinner table scene from Nutty Professor, where they're all just farting at each other. Yeah, that's the scene. That's the scene that Jack Black's character was making fun of in Tropic Thunder or whatever. His character was making fun of what Eddie Murphy had become. We really need to do our game room tour video. We still have, I mean, now that I've had to move the futon and the retro TV to make a space for the Christmas tree. So if we did it now, it's not going to look like it does every day because, you know, the futon and the TV are pushed out of the way. So, did you like the movie Flubber? The remake with Robin Williams, it was okay. It's on PSN. Oh. Did you like the movie King of Comedy with De Niro? Not really. I saw it when I was a kid, but I wasn't a big fan of it. $2 Canadian from Living Legend. Thank you, Living Legend. Have a dollar bill. Yeah, Chris, I already talked about the Game Awards. I would go ahead and watch it. I mean, there still is some slow parts, but it's probably the best gaming awards that they've done. They had actual surprises that people cared about this time, and they didn't cut people off when they were doing their acceptance speeches this time. Since it's the end of the year, what's been your favorite game and movie of the year? Favorite game has been Astro Bot. Favorite movie? Ooh, that one's harder because we haven't really gone to see that much. Not really. I mean, we went to see Deadpool versus Wolverine, and we went to see that movie, The Bike Riders. Neither of which, for me, were like super mind-blowing films. So I don't know that I even have a favorite movie from this year because most of what I've been watching are just rewatching movies I've already seen. I'm not buying Plumbers Don't Wear Ties. I know very well what that game is. Did I like Veilguard? We just had a conversation about Veilguard, Black Lightning. What are you talking about? I told you I didn't care for the story, but I enjoyed the combat. What? Are you high? Thoughts on The Departed? I like The Departed. I don't like it as well as Goodfellas, but I like it. I platted it clean frame because I was enjoying the combat loop. Because it reminds me of Kingdoms of Amalur. And I'm a big fan of Kingdoms of Amalur. We had this whole conversation earlier. You can scroll up and see his side of it. Thoughts on Black Christmas? The first one is okay, and the first remake is okay, but the most recent remake is stupid, and don't watch it. Taxi Driver or Joker? Taxi Driver. Joker's just a pale imitation. 7th, how do you feel about Astrobot winning Game of the Year? I think it earned it. I predicted it would happen. Not sure if you answered that. I joined late. I predicted that was going to happen. I told y'all that it was Game of the Year material when I played it. And that if there wasn't anything else, that if Dragon Age wasn't this, genre redefining epic, that there really wasn't going to be anything to stand in its way except for maybe Space Marine 2. And I didn't really see Black Myth Wukong winning Game of the Year because you had your small circle of people talking about how great it was, but it wasn't something that was getting the kind of love and universal acclaim that Astrobot was, despite Astrobot not really selling that many copies. Just because a game sells a ton of copies, most of which were in China, by the way, doesn't mean that it's instantly Game of the Year. Just the way it is. But, honestly, what wins Game of the Year at Game Awards doesn't really mean anything. I mean, the guy at Larian can say that it does because, they had a small studio that wasn't, that was popular with a small crowd because of Pillars of Eternity or whatever, or Divinity or whatever, whichever series they were doing before they did Baldur's Gate 3. But, Team Asobi didn't have that problem because Team Asobi is owned by Sony. But that game, and I would imagine that Astrobot probably cost quite a bit less to make than Baldur's Gate 3 did, so it didn't have to sell as many copies to be profitable for Sony. Whether Sony will learn from this and start expanding on their AA offerings like they used to do back in the day, who can say? But they ought to learn from it. PS1, PS2, PS3 eras, they always offered a good mix of, AA and AAA quality stuff. And going into the PS4 era, they decided they weren't going to do that anymore, and we're only going to focus on big buck, big budget AAA blasters, and look where they are now. Shouldn't have happened. Game of the Year does matter. It helps the studio. I've seen studios that have won Game of the Year and it didn't matter to a hill of beans. And plus, the Game Awards Game of the Year is not the only Game of the Year out there. BioWare has won Game of the Year before. How much good is it doing them right now? No matter how many awards you win, your studio is only ever as good as your most recent release. Period. Hey, 7th, Streamlabs is glitching for me and keeps hiding the tip box when I load up the page. Any other way to donate instead of using... No, the gray button is the only other way. If you can't get Streamlabs to work, gray button is the only other option. Thoughts on The Invisible Man? I did not like the most recent Invisible Man film. I like the really old Invisible Man film. I like Hollow Man. That was a fun movie. I even like the crappy John Carpenter movie that he made with Chevy Chase, Memoirs of an Invisible Man. And I liked the Invisible Man character in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. But this most recent Invisible Man movie sucked. It felt more like Sleeping with the Enemy than it did The Invisible Man. Black Lightning, are you insinuating that Larian is immune to a corporate buyout? You would think that Team Asobi is safe from having to worry about the quality effects of their games from losing writers, since there's no spoken dialogue in the Astrobot games. But you never know. And that's why I say and stand by that every studio out there, no matter who they are only as good as their most recent release. Naughty Dog is a very good example of this. Although there are some people who will want to burn you at the stake for saying that The Last of Us 2 was anything short of a masterpiece. Thoughts on Invasion of the Body Snatchers? I like the original one, and I like the one from the 70s with Donald Sutherland in it. And I haven't liked any version of it since then. That Arkham VR game got snubbed for Game of the Year. It's like if you took Arkham Asylum and made it VR. It's an incredible game. And it's got a small scope, though, because there's not a lot of people out there that can afford to play VR. I don't imagine Larry and CEO selling out. I didn't imagine a piece of crap like Druckmann taking over Naughty Dog, but it happened. You have a lot of trash plats, but it's safe to say if the platinum took over 100 hours to get, I would say you like that game. It took me 54 hours to plat it. It was a very, very straightforward by the numbers platinum. You basically just had to play the game and collect a couple of little minor things, not huge collections, and you were done. I didn't care for The Last of Us 2 at all from a plot standpoint. And I already wasn't a fan of the gameplay because you strip away all of the attempt to be artsy, and all it is another survival horror game, which I don't like to begin with. I was already burnt out on, and you can do all the, they're not zombies, they're clicker. It's a zombie game. And I was already well burned out on that before that game ever came out in 2013. I was already done with zombies. Still am. His thoughts on Rocksteady shutting down Suicide Squad. Good. Never should have made it in the first place. It's a colossally bad idea. What'd you think of the new Ninja Gaiden 2 reveal? It looked good. It still didn't look like Ninja Gaiden. It reminded me more of that game The Messenger from a couple of years ago than traditional Ninja Gaiden. But I'm intrigued by it. I will give it a shot. For a console, maybe Black Lightning, but from a PC standpoint, The Last of Us 2, when it came out in 2020, wasn't doing anything that the AAA space on PC was doing. In fact, it didn't take very long after the last, here it is, their facial technology, their facial motion capture got beat out fairly quickly because, they were using the similar form of motion tech for the original The Last of Us. And even when they were doing it on the cheap, Ninja Theory's facial capture eclipsed it as far as like the realism of it. I'm certainly not saying that Hellblade was a better game because Hellblade was garbage, but I have not played Hellblade 2, by the way. But there's not really anything in everything that's in the Last of Us series, both in the first game and the second game, are incredibly derivative. And there wasn't really anything from a technical standpoint that was miles above what anybody else was doing at the time of those releases. It's like they got to Uncharted 3, and then Druckmann took over, and they've just been kind of stagnating ever since. The texture quality got better, and that's pretty much it. Thoughts on Child's Play movies? Seed of Chucky was the worst one. I agree. I only liked the first 3. Everything after that I haven't watched. Or I tried to watch it and hated it. Magic powers. We're down to the last 30 minutes, folks. 30 minutes left. And it would take another $27 to extend it by an hour. I was wrong earlier. I was doing the math wrong in my head. Because I'm 50 years old. With your time and schedule, how long does it take you to complete a 100-hour RPG? Not quite a month, but it'd take me at least a couple of weeks. Are we ever going to get an update on the Wonder? I don't think we're going to get it at all, Chris. All the turmoil in DC with James Gunn coming in and rebooting everything probably didn't help matters either. No, I haven't played Astrobot's Christmas DLC. I'll maybe take a look at it tomorrow or something. I'm not going to feel like taking it tonight. Or trying it tonight. Not tonight. Not tonight at all. Catch you later, 7th. Okay, bye, Nicholas. See you later. See you later. And the questions dry up once more. Is 8th doing okay? 8th's got a bit of a cold right now. He's been coughing and sneezing this weekend. I'm sure he'll be all right. It's not like, the coup for anything. Yes, I've seen the Sony handheld rumors. I don't know how much I believe that. I don't know how much I believe it. It's been said before and didn't happen, so we'll see. I mean, I don't really see the point. Why don't they just put out a firmware update for the Portal that allows you to play stream games directly from PSN instead of from a PS5? Then they wouldn't have to put out anything else. What's your favorite genre? RPGs. RPGs. Currently, the game that I'm playing is Ease X. Ease X. I've been playing the Ease series for a long time. The first one I played was Ease 3 on the Genesis, and I liked it so much that I actually turned around and bought the Super Nintendo version of the same game, which actually played a little bit different. So I had it on both systems. I still have it on both systems. I don't really have a need for the Portal. Like I said, I'm always in my recliner, so PS5 is right there. Why would I need a handheld version for it? I'm just saying. I barely touch the handhelds I have. I have a Switch Lite. I couldn't tell you the last time I turned it on. And part of that is because, I've been spoiled with trophies and achievements. And so every time I try to start up a Switch game, I'm like, I could be earning trophies on PSN right now, and I switched to play in PS5. I really think that Nintendo should have adopted the trophies. I mean, they kind of sort of did it with the Wii U with their accomplishment system, but it wasn't integrated. Everything was separated by game, and so it didn't work very well. A lot of people didn't even know it existed. Are you going to give us a special Christmas cast next Saturday? Well, let's see. Next Saturday is the 21st. I mean, I'll try to stream. I don't know that it's going to be a Christmas spectacular. What do you want? What could I do to make it special, Is your PSN public? I don't know if it is anymore or not. I kept getting a bunch of people that were trying to message me all the time, and so I don't remember if I still have it public now or not. Don't remember. I got so tired of people bugging me when I was just trying to play a game. I have like 175 platinums. I don't really even try for them that much anymore. And the main reason that I did it with Dragon Age is because of how there wasn't that much to it. I mean, you for the most part, you just had to finish the game to get the majority of it. And so I was to the point, well, why not? Might as well. I'm here. I don't have a Santa hat. I don't have a Santa hat, and obviously I don't have the money to spend on one. Do not have the money to spend on one. Too many broken air conditioners, too many broken water heaters. And let's not forget the $2,700 mortgage payment on this house. $2,700 a month for 2,300 square feet. 10 years ago, that would have gotten me $2,700 a month would have got me a McMansion. Now I'm 2,300 square feet, but it's a lot more space than I had before, and it's actually the biggest house I've ever lived in. They're not integrated, Shadow. You don't have like a centralized score or anything that they tie into. They're all separated by game, so it's not integrated. So it doesn't count as an actual achievement system. Mission and rewards isn't any different than accomplishments that are listed within the game itself. Like keeping track of things you've collected within the game. It's not the same thing. Which I played Warrior. I played Warrior class. It's what I usually pick out. Thoughts on Donkey Kong Country games? I think they were ahead of their time. They were okay. I wasn't a huge fan of them. How am I feeling? I'm not feeling all that great. Not feeling all that great. My health has not been... it's not been the best the last few months. It is what it is. I mean, shit, I'm 50. I am 50. 20 minutes left, folks. 20 minutes left. We are $27 away from extending by an hour. Which, judging by the questions and responses I'm getting, I don't think anyone really cares about having me on here for another hour anyway. Ugh. Oh, crap. Still got Sarge's hat sitting here. Maybe with the Switch 2? I would hope so. I would hope so. They missed it on the Switch. They missed it on the Wii U, and they've missed it on the Wii. Well, the Wii, like I said, the Wii U kind of had it, but for the most part, no. Oh, my thoughts on the show Secret Level. I think it's just 15-minute commercials for video games. The episodes aren't long enough to invest in any actual plot or for you to care about the characters. They're all just commercials for video games. I mean, I thought that the one for Pac-Man was super weird. Well, of course, that's because it's based on some super weird, stupid game that was announced at the Game Awards. Because, messed up Metroidvania is what you think of when you think of Pac-Man. They're all drinking Drano. Jesus, come get me. Just come get me. That Secret Level didn't do anything for me at all. Because, they're just not long enough for you to get invested in any of it. It's just eye candy. 15-minute commercials for video games. That's what it was. A big, massive nothing burger. I can't imagine that I have that much left of Ys X to do. I feel like I'm fairly close to the end. So right now I'm just trying to decide what I'm going to play when I'm done with this one. Thoughts on people degrading trophies and achievements by padding their scores with bullshit I am taco games. Well, I'm the first to admit that I have a couple of those myself. I have Mr. Masagi and My Name is Mayo, and I think I might have one of those taco hopping games or whatever. And the reason being is because a couple of years ago, Shady J from the Game Chasers told me that he was too far ahead of me in platinums for me to ever be able to catch up and beat him. And I made a bet with him that I could top him within a year. And I noticed that he was trying to keep me from doing that by playing a bunch of, super easy plat stuff. Like those games, like My Name is Mayo and stuff. And so I did some of them myself to negate the effects of what he was trying to do. And I ended up winning that bet. But, I wasn't just doing stuff like that. I platted Far Cry Primal, Far Cry 5. I platted a whole ton of actual games. But every time I saw him do something like, Mr. Masagi or whatever, I can't remember which ones it was, but he was doing some, I would go and do the same one. And that's why I have some in there. Smithy, $20. Streamlabs is glitching hard or something. Anyways, hope you had a good birthday. Snag a gamer movie on me. Thank you, Smith. I appreciate you. That puts us up to 43. Thank you. $43. Oh. Let me, I forgot. Let me get you, where'd my dollar bill go? There you go. There's your dollar bill, Smith. I appreciate you. That puts me up enough to where I can get that $40 Blu-ray of Exorcist 3. I might do that instead of a game. I might get me that deluxe 4K of Exorcist 3. You would think so, Living Legend, but the industry lately has seemed to be very resistant to learning lessons from things. You platinum multiple Far Cry games, bet you. Yeah, it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun, but I I was grabbing whatever platinums that I could get. I had a year to do it. And I was pretty far behind him at the time. Do you remember that movie about conjoined twins that the Coen brothers did? The boxing scene at the beginning of the movie reminds me of E's ex. I don't know that I know the movie you're talking about. I don't think I know the movie you're talking about. I remember the conjoined twins movie that the Farrelly brothers did, Stuck on You or whatever, that had, I think it was Matt Damon and Greg Kinnear, I think. Do you think they'll make an Astrobot 2? They're probably already working on one, would be my guess. I would imagine that had already been greenlit. Because, guys like New Legal and whatnot can mock it for only selling, 1 million copies and change. But again, a game with a budget that low doesn't have to sell a ton of games to be profitable. If it can create a positive vibe for Sony through marketing by making Astro their official mascot, their Mario, their Sonic, that does just as much for them as if it had sold 10 million copies. Do I think it should have sold 10 million copies? Yes, I do. But then again, there's a lot of folks out there, especially in the younger generation, that can't handle platformers. And because I'm getting arthritis in my hands, I can't handle them as well as I used to, which is why I had to have 8th do a couple of the challenge missions for me. Because I was getting right to the edge, and then my hands would start to cramp up, and I'd start screwing up, and I'd lose. My hands just can't. Even when I'm playing Ease X now, there's Ease X has this mechanic where if you hold down the R2 button, your two characters will fight in sync and fight together, and it gives you different moves you can do. And I'll hold down that R2 button and start, using the face buttons to do my attacks, and I start to get pain going right down into my wrist. And so I haven't even been able to play Ease X that much because my hands are just getting to where they can't take it. I have a whole ton of songs that I would like to record, but I haven't been doing it because my hands are getting to where I can't play guitar as well as I used to. 50 years old, guys. Yeah, the Farrelly brothers clean frame. Farrelly brothers. Coen brothers is like, The Big Lebowski, No Country for Old Men, stuff like that. No, they won't get rid of cameos. If anything, the second one will probably have more. Especially since we just found out they didn't have to pay for any of them. Yes, my age is finally starting to catch up with me. Maybe not so much visually, aside from the gray and the beard, but in every other sense, it's catching up with me. We've got 10 minutes left, folks. 10 minutes left. Oh. Thank you, Darkstar. Appreciate you. Oh. Wah, 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 wah. Feels a little hot in here. I don't have the heat on. Not sure what's going on there. What would your advice be to younger men? Don't worry about college at this point. College is becoming less and less worth anything. Go for a trade instead. You'll get to six figures way faster than college will get you there. Become a master electrician, male nurse. You can always add on to it and become a doctor later. Things that you can go to a trade school for or get an apprenticeship for. Plumber. No shame in that. Plumbers make a lot of money. 10 minutes. There's 10 minutes left. Thoughts on Snake Pass? Made by some of the veterans who made Banjo-Kazooie on N64. Snake Pass. I tried playing it. I didn't care for it. In fact, I may have it on PS3 or PS4 or something. I know. I think I got it digitally on something, and I just didn't like it. One that I got for like $4 or something. It's called Clive and something. It's a 3D platformer that I guess is supposed to be in the spirit of Jak and Daxter. It sucks. And you know why it sucks? Because it looks like a PS2 game, but only runs at 30 frames per second. When you look at the quality of the graphics in that game, and it's just a little dude and his monkey, there is no reason for that game to be anything less than 60 frames per second on PS5, and yet it's 30. I paid $4 for that game. I booted it up. I saw it was 30 frames. I turned it off. I'm done with 30 frames. I'm not doing it no more. Yes, I'm going to be working on my backlog for Christmas break since I can't afford to buy anything new. And, I'm not going to be getting anything for Christmas, obviously, aside from the $43 that have been donated tonight. Thank you very much. Uh-oh. Oh, magic powers. But yeah, I've got stuff in my backlog. I just have to decide what I'm going to do, what I'm going to play when I'm done with Ease 10. I'm thinking maybe I'll go back and finish up Unicorn Overlord, because I got fairly far in it, but then I stopped because I was playing something else. I may go back to Unicorn Overlord and finish it. We'll see. I still have to finish watching all of my Christmas movies, too. I think tomorrow I'm going to watch Christmas Vacation. What did you have for dinner? I had chicken wraps, which I make. I fry up some chicken fingers, and then I put in some lettuce and chop up some cucumber. Put that in there, some ranch dressing, some cheese, a little bit of bacon bits. Wrap it all up in a wheat wrap. It's good stuff. It's good eating. Yeah, I was really liking Unicorn Overlord. It was it doesn't really play like it, but it was giving me Dragon Force vibes from the Sega Saturn. So I was really, really enjoying it, but then I got sidetracked on another game, can't remember what it was, and for whatever reason I didn't get back to it. We are not, in our collection, where we are with PS5 is not where we were in the same amount of time with PS4. We already had over 200 games for PS4 at this point in the PS4's life cycle. We're only at like 135 games for PS5 because there just hasn't been as much that we wanted to own this generation. Sony's been kind of stagnant. Microsoft has been kind of stagnant, and of course, physical is a foregone conclusion with them now because they're just putting out coasters that have a license on them. So, We haven't, honestly, in the last 4 years, mostly what I've been buying is retro games for the collection. The overall collection is almost up to 2,500 games. Not quite, but it's getting there. Did I beat Infinite Wealth? We have Infinite Wealth, but I haven't played it. Eighth has it up in his room. Do you think by the end of next year, From Software will be a Sony first-party studio? Well, I wouldn't rule anything out. Obviously, these talks have been going on for a while and just now went public. I would imagine they've been negotiating this for a while now. So, who knows? We'll see. I don't think we'll hear anything before the end of the year, though. I think, probably sometime after March if we're going to hear it at all. I've been wrong before, but just based on fiscal year, I would think sometime after March. We'll see. We'll see. I saw God of War on PC. I believe Epic had it for sale. What's the point on owning a Sony? I only get them because I have been since '95. Because I don't want to sit in my recliner with a wraparound table to hold my wireless keyboard and mouse to play PC games. Don't want to do it. Don't want to do it. Don't want to have to bother with, running an HDMI splitter so I can run a cable from my PC to my TV and play PC games on TV. I don't want to do that. So for me, it's sticking with consoles. And I don't want to play. Sorry about that. Do I know Harmon Smith? No. My favorite generation has been the PS2 generation. I don't want to play at my desk. The only time I ever sit at this desk is when I'm talking to you guys, making a video, recording a song. That's it. I don't do my job at this desk. I do it in that recliner over there on a laptop. I can't sit in a chair that long anymore. Sitting upright like this, sitting in this chair for 9 hours would kill me. I have to have my feet propped up for circulation reasons. If I had to go back to an in-office IT job, I would be so screwed. I would be so screwed because of my health. So really, realistically, I want to stay with this company as long as I can. But if things were to go bad, like in the economy or whatnot, and I, heaven forbid, got laid off from this company I've been with for going on 13 years, I would have to hope that I stayed long enough for Eighth to finish whatever courses he plans to take to get into his career, and that he's, at the point where he can afford, he's making the same amount of money that I'm making now. Because then, I will probably file for disability and early Social Security and just take what I can get. And, he can start paying for this house, which I bought for him anyway. But hopefully that doesn't happen for a long time. I mean, honestly, if I could retire now, I absolutely would. But the Social Security that I get from it would be kind of a joke, and certainly not enough to pay for even just this house, much less all the other bills. What was Christmas like growing up? Watch any of the nostalgic videos on YouTube about Christmas in the 80s, and that's pretty much it, only with somewhat less under the tree because, Dad was a cop, didn't have a lot of money. Didn't have a lot of money. It's just the way it went. I loved my dad, though. He did the best he could. I never felt neglect. I never felt like I didn't have enough. I appreciate it, Beef. That being said, it's 9 o'clock. We did not hit the $50 mark. So this is where I'm going to have to say goodbye. We fell an entire $7 short. So no more extra hour for y'all this week. I appreciate all the donations. All of them had to be done via Super Chat because for some reason people were having trouble with Streamlabs tonight. But that's okay. It means I won't get it instantly. It means I'll have to wait for YouTube to cut me a digital check. But I appreciate all the donations. And I will see you guys hopefully next Saturday. Same 7th time, same 7th channel.